In this week's episode, I invite you to a conference, and of course, I answer your questions. Hi, and welcome to Business Greenhouse TV, episode 17. Really enjoying this. I'm going to lead off with some really super massive, exciting news. The registrations for Kingdom Business Summit 2016 are now open. This is our annual conference that we hold every year. This year we held it in March at the Gold Coast Convention Center. We had just under 400 people come for 2 whole days. We train them, we roll our sleeves up, and we grow their businesses and have a whole bunch of fun doing it. 2016 is going to be a little bit different because we're actually taking it to 3 cities around Australia. So we're going to be running Sydney, we're going to be running Perth, and we're going to be running the Gold Coast. Let me just give you a quick 1 minute on what this event is. I started this event primarily just because God told me to, but you know, it's a bit different to most conferences. It's ultra results based. We actually do the work in the conference. So you don't come and learn a bunch of theory and go home with more questions. We actually do theory and execution in the 2 days. So we literally roll up our sleeves, go through the latest and greatest technologies. This year I went into the back of Facebook Live and put a campaign together step by step so everybody could take notes and do Facebook marketing. The year before, I went into the back of AdWords and built a campaign, everybody. So highly practical marketing type training. We also do the spiritual stuff. How do we bring our faith to the table? You know, how do we start to change culture? How do we use our businesses for influence? And we put those two together. You know, my dream for this event is that it's different content every year. And the idea is that we're taking people on a journey. I want people to come to this event every single year because we're building on the content. We don't cover any of the same ground. It just gets bigger and it gets better and it gets better and it gets better. So I would love you to be there if you can be there. To find out more, just go to kingdombusiness.com.au, kingdombusiness.com.au, and it's free. It's free against everybody's advice. I've always felt God called us to put this event on for free, so it's free. You come, you don't have to worry about the finances. We just roll up our sleeves and we get you to leave with a better business than you came with, and it's free. So, kingdombusiness.com.au is where you go. We'll put a link up here. And what I need from you, though, so I'm giving you a free conference, but in return, I want something from you. I need you, my tribe, to go and herald the message of the Kingdom Business Summit is this great conference where you get practical tools because we're going to change culture. We're going to make earth look more like heaven through business. I need you to go and herald that message. And what does that look like? Well, you can share this show to as many people on your feed as you can, or you can tag people. So specific people who you know that are in business, tag them in the comments below, or both, because it should be an and, not an or. How about you share the show and tag some friends below? If you guys take this message and help me, it's going to help me get it out to more people. It's going to help me achieve my goal of changing culture and redeeming the business world and making it more Christ-like. I need thousands of people to achieve that goal. I can't do it with 20 or 300. I need thousands of people to achieve that goal. And I need you guys to go out there, share, tag, herald this message about this great conference, and then register. Make sure that you're coming to one of those events to a city near you. Come together, grow the business, and have heaps of fun doing it. Okay? It's a great opportunity to network, make new friends, do business together, and all of that combined. We have social dinners and things like that. It's a fantastic 2 days of high energy, high impact training. So make sure you help me out by heralding the message and make sure you register. I want to see you there. Let's get into today's show. Michelle, what is question number 1?
We have a private question. My marketing budget is quite low. How much should I invest into Google Adwords?
Great question. So the marketing budget is low. How much do I put into AdWords? Well, let's bring everybody up to speed. Let's just assume that not everybody knows what Google AdWords are. When you go on the line and you go to Google and you do a search, there are some paid advertisements. There's 3 at the top and 7 down the right-hand side of the screen that you look at. They are paid advertisements. Underneath that is what we call organic reach. Those paid advertisements are ranked 1 to 10. And they're ranked purely by, it's like a reverse silent auction. Whoever is prepared to pay the most will go higher. You know, positions 4 to 10 are like having a surf shop in Alice Springs. They are absolutely pointless. You want to be in position 1, 2, or 3 at the top, which costs you more. But so that's what Google AdWords are. It's hilarious. I get so many gurus who are now spouting this message. Oh, Google AdWords are dying. You know, only 16% of people that search now will click on an ad. I'm like, excellent. Out of the, I don't know how many billion searches a day, 16% of those will click on a paid advertisement at the top, which when they click on it, they go to, your website or a page on your website, whichever you decide. 16% is massive. You know, like I want to play in that pool. So here's what I love most about Google AdWords. People say it's very expensive. Let me come to that. What I love most about Google AdWords is it would have to be the warmest, most qualified prospect you can ever get in digital marketing. And here's why. They went of their own volition to Google to search for uniforms in Brisbane, to hit enter, and then of their own volition, they clicked on your advertisement and went to your website. Like they came to you because they have a really big need. There isn't a strategy anywhere like that that competes with this. It's absolutely amazing. And the cool part is you only pay when they take action towards your site. So you don't pay for your ad to show when they type in uniforms Brisbane. You only pay for when they click to go to your website, which like they've taken a massive action towards you and you only pay. So you're only paying for results. That's why I like it. Now people say it's expensive. It has become quite expensive. Like I remember the days when it was 10 cents a click. Now it can be $8, $18 a click. The reason why people find it too expensive though is because they haven't worked out an acquisition cost. There's an acquisition cost for every customer. They're trying to all get them for free and it's never going to be free. So maybe you need 10 clicks to your site to get one customer. You know, then you've got to look at what's the lifetime value of a customer because you may lose money on your first transaction. You may not, but you may lose money on your first transaction, but you're going to pick up that customer for life. Okay. This comes back to what we talked about in episode 1, where we talked about knowing your acquisition cost, you know, the 20 for 50, $20 out, $50 in, or vice versa. They're both good strategies. It's because people aren't testing and measuring that they're not really, you know, knowing the numbers enough to make the call. So Google AdWords is phenomenal, but you want to be measuring. Google gives you the data right up until when they contact you. Then you need to be measuring from then on. You know, ask everybody that calls in, how did you hear about me? Every time somebody does an email inquiry through your web form, you've got to collate that data and what does it mean in terms of hard dollars so that you can measure the whole scenario. If you do that, you'll start to get a picture. Here's the thing, if you've got a really low budget, here's the cool thing about AdWords. You can set whatever budget you like. And as soon as you've spent the budget, your ads don't appear. So if you've got, you know, $50 a day to spend, you can set Google to $50 a day. And once it's, let's say it's $10 a click, you got 5 clicks a day of people going to your website. You can measure that. If you've got $10 a day and the $10 clicks, I would still want to be in that game because that means I'm likely to get 1 click a day. That's 1 new set of eyeballs through Google onto my website. And I want to measure what that means in terms of inquiry, phone calls, web forms, whatever it is, and measure those numbers. So it doesn't matter what your budget is. You just got to get on there. You know, as long as you've got enough budget that you can be covering 1 click a day, we're talking real low here. If you can get 1 click a day, I would be in that game because it's another pillar to your business. Now, when that 1 click produces for you, you've now got more money. You can up your daily spend, which means now that performs. Now you can up your daily spend. And when that pays off, and before you know it, it can be a real solid pillar. You know, I know people currently who are spending $10,000, $20,000 a month on Google AdWords, but $20,000 is producing $100,000 of revenue at 50% GP. It's great maths. But we got there by building slowly, testing and measuring, and adding to the campaigns as we go. Let me give you one more tip on Google AdWords that no one is ever going to tell you where you're likely to get it really wrong. If you follow the way Google wants you to do it, they want you to come up with one campaign and load in 25, 30, 50 keywords under that. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, that's fine. You can go online and do heaps of research. I just kind of want to give you this one strategy. One campaign, 50 keywords. The problem with that is it now becomes a minefield to make little changes. And the way you make money with Google AdWords is little small changes over time, compounding effect. What you want to be doing, the hard way to set it up, but the best way to get results is one campaign, one keyword. One campaign, one keyword. That way you can go into any single campaign and make a 1% tweak without needing to make it carte blanche across all of your campaigns. When you do that, which is a hard way to set it up, but that's the way you're going to make money because those little 1% compound to way more customers, way more revenue down the time. So I'm a massive fan of Google AdWords. You must be on there. If you've got a low budget, and that's fine, get on there anyway, but just be vicious about testing and measuring what that low budget is producing. And when you get a win, increase your budget, put the money back in, and build that to be a super strong pillar. Fantastic question. Michelle, what's question number 2?
Jack O'Brien asks, what are some practical things that we can do to start building a legacy for our children and grandchildren?
Jack O'Brien on the show again is a very solid question asker. And I love this question. I took this question because legacy is the thing for me, all of this stuff that we're doing, all this marketing strategy, all this business, all this revenue creating stuff is all just one small step towards this thing called legacy. We all need to be focused on legacy. Within the Christian faith, what we've had over the last maybe 100 years is almost the opposite to legacy. We've had this consumer-based, seeker-sensitive, all about me, self-actualization rubbish. We even have some of our biggest heroes talking about, the game is all about happiness. The game is not about happiness. The game isn't about me. The game is about loving God and contributing to society. Like if you want self-actualization, that's the game. Forget about your own happiness. That happens as a byproduct of serving lots of people and creating something in society that is sustainable. That's true happiness. Happiness by just trying to fill your life with stuff to be happy is ridiculous. You can never win that game. There's always somebody with more. There's always more stuff that you can fill your life with. True happiness comes when you know who you are, whose you are, and you contribute to society, okay? So that's what we've had. To answer your question about legacy, I think there's layers to legacy, layers of importance to legacy. First and foremost, the best thing you can do for your kids or the future generations is to live as a person of faith. That's the best thing you can possibly do because that's the highest call that we would believe in. But the second thing, the thing that I think is missing is we have to be an example. We have to be a role model to the next generation. That's what they're looking for. There are plenty of parents out there who are saying, Billy, you can do anything you want in life. And then the parent runs away and gets the most secure job and does very little with their life. That's incongruent. We need parents who say, Billy, you can do anything you want in life. Look what I'm living out my assignment. I worked out what God wanted me to do. I'm actively doing it and I'm living an adventure. If we're going to have legacy, we've got to show these kids the way, the next generation, the way that we do this. We've actually got to be doing our assignment, walking out our faith, okay? Putting legs and hands and feet on what we believe and actively changing culture in some way, depending on the assignment. That's what they're going to be drawn to. Like if legacy is, I'm going to stay as a church sitter for the rest of my life and hope my kids do, don't expect them to follow if that's the role model, because they're going to look at that and go, that's not very exciting and I'd rather go and do something else. They want to see parents who are actively engaged in God's work, God's assignment, whether that be business, whether that be government, whether that be a high school teacher, whether that be a bus driver. It can all be God's work, actively engaged in some sort of assignment, creating a better society. Then the kids will automatically by default want to follow because it's exciting and it's engaging. The next layer though is money and assets. Okay, so we've got living out of faith, doing our assignment as role models. The next part of legacy is money and it is assets. We've shied away from this area. Money is bad or assets and whatever is mammon, and we've discussed that on the show about how that's not even biblically true. We've got to build assets over time, okay? One of the things that dynasties have known for years is that it takes more than one generation to build something absolutely massive. So one generation builds it, the next generation builds on it, and quite often, because they don't have the moral compass, the third or fourth generation throw it all down the toilet. We, by the way, can just get assets that build over time, and along with the money and the assets, houses, stocks, shares, whatever it is, along with that stuff, we've got to train them in biblical principles of how to handle wealth. In so much, like it's the borrower is slave to the lender. Like he who chases after schemes will end up being broke. He who doesn't work shouldn't eat. I mean, the Bible is full of principles that have to be trained along with the children on how to handle this money. So here's what I think is a good strategy. You go through your life, you amass a certain asset base. I'm not saying that everyone has to build $1 billion asset base. It'd be great if you do, but whatever it is that you've created at the end of your life, I think there needs to be a period of time where you actually train with your next generation, okay, or whoever it is that you're bringing through behind you. You actually invest with them. So you don't make it and then give it to them. You actually have a period in the middle where you walk it out together, where you make decisions together. Maybe it's from when they're 25 to 35, but in that period of time, you have some money that you work on together. You might trade it together, you might do property together, you might jump into businesses together. Ultimately, it's still your final call, but you're doing it together. You're training them in that period. If you don't do that, it's abdication, okay? So you create some money, then you go through a journey with the next generation to help them understand how to grow it, how to respect it, because they haven't worked for it. So they're still going to build their work ethic at the same time. And then you release it to them slowly. Release it to them in such a way that, it's not detrimental to them. And then they've got a respect for it, and then they move, and then they do the same thing for their kids, okay? That to me is the standard process. The thing that I really want to get to with legacy is we've got to stop thinking about ourselves. We've got to stop thinking we've had it tough. I've worked hard enough to buy myself a caravan and drive around Australia or an RV and go around America. Like, you don't want to be spending the last bit of your money on happy, like a happy life. You have a responsibility to your children's children, okay? I'm not saying you can't buy an RV or a caravan, but it can't be all of your money, okay? You've got to get a certain point that goes on, because generationally, we will win this game if enough of us start to think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations down the line. And when enough people do that, we win, okay? We'll have all the asset base that we can look after all the social problems in the world, and we will become the authority in that sphere. People will look to us as an answer. We will have a solution. That's what's needed. If enough of us do it, it's only 2, 3 generations away if enough of us play this really big and take it really, really seriously. Jack, awesome question. Word of the week. Today's tea is I have no idea what. It was a surprise brought to me. Let me just have another little sip. Still don't know, but very nice. Okay, this week's word of the week. I want to go to Proverbs 15:22. By the way, before we go there, who are you going to tag? Who are you going to tag in the comments below to let them know about the Kingdom Business Summit? Have you thought about that yet? Have you sharing the show yet? Like, you got to share the show. You got to tag someone. Okay, I'm going to nag you about this. Proverbs 15:22. You will all know this one. Plans fail for a lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. How many advisors have you got? And in how many areas are those advisors made up? When I was young, I was foolish enough to think that I could go it alone and I knew everything. And that quickly brought me undone. After a period of time, I realized I needed advisors. Now, some of them paid, some of them not paid. There were some of these advisors were just people that were further down the journey than me. Some of them were literally, paid advisors to get some knowledge in a certain area. And right now I have people that help me, with business that are further down the journey. I have people that help me with wealth creation, specifically property. I have advisors in many areas. I have advisors in marriage, okay, because I want to make sure that that's always top notch and the best it can be. I have advisors on spiritual issues, okay? So my pastor, Pastor Len Rosso, is the spiritual authority in my life. He has the ability to, when we meet up, to say, I don't think this is good, or that's really good, or well done on this. Like, I have assigned him, okay, to be an advisor in my life, and he has that relationship. And I have people across the board who can do that for me, okay? But what about you? Are you the lone wolf thinking that you can do it on your own? Or are you actively putting people around you that can speak in your life, whether it be business, whether it be wealth, whether it be spiritual, whatever it is? Because you've got to get many advisors. I don't always take the advice of my advisors. I don't always sit there and go, That's excellent. I'm going to do it even though I don't like it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go to these advisors and say, what do you think of this? And they tell me and I go, no, I'm going to go with my way and then see how that works out. But I wanted a sounding board at the very least with these advisors. It's biblical that you get advisors in all these different areas, a multitude of them. That's how you can pull on the wisdom of the group and then make a more educated decision about which decision you're going to make. So, why is this relevant right now? Well, in March next year, we'll be holding a conference called the Kingdom Business Summit. Hopefully, by now, you've thought about who you're going to tag, who you're going to share. Like, you need more. I'm not suggesting for a minute that we need to be the one in business for you. We will happily be. If it's not us, go find somebody that's in business who can be an advisor to you, whether paid or not, doesn't really matter. But go find people. But we will happily do that for you in March if you come. Now, when you come to this summit, by the way, you by default have to assign me to be coach and accountability. I'm going to make you better. I'm going to push you in areas. You're going to leave better than you came, okay? Because we're an advisor in that area. Like, if you're going to give up 2 days, then I'm going to make sure that you leave with new strategy, new paradigms, and all of that. Go and get as many advisors as you can. Sound off them, bounce off them, ask them questions. If it's us, excellent. If it's not, excellent. Go find some, and you will be better for it. So that's a fairly solid episode. I'm giving you all of this information for free. This is great stuff. In return, I need something. I haven't asked anything from you for a long time. I need you to share this episode. I need you to tag, 5, 10, 15 people in business right across Australia that you know that would potentially benefit from hearing about this and coming to the event. And you've got to be there. kingdombusiness.com.au, register. And I look forward to seeing you there. I'll see you next week for the show. Bye for now.